Everyone thinks this is just normal PvP drama. 2 players, some fights, and a bit of controversy. But when you actually slow down and look at what happened, things stop looking random. A number 1 player loses his spot and suddenly everything changes. Controversy appears out of nowhere. The focus shifts from gameplay and the community splits in half. That's not coincidence, that's a pattern. Let's take a trip down memory lane to when it all started. It is the day where the 2 best players fight for the number 1 spot. The number 1 being Game. Everybody thought this 1v1 would be nothing but a breeze for him. But somehow, out of nowhere, the person that people thought could never be beaten, Game 1K, loses, and he loses terribly. Everybody treats him like he's washed and he's unskilled, and that's when Game hits a realization that he needs the number 1 spot back at any means necessary. So, he asks for a rematch. Frixian accepts the rematch and they fight again, and somehow Game loses again. The community is in an outrage and everybody thinks Game is washed, and everybody starts accepting Frixian as the number 1 player. And it slowly starts affecting Game mentally. He loses his respect in the community and he thinks that Frixian stole his number 1 spot from him and that he deserves it. So, a few weeks after their 1v1, an anonymous player by the name of Cocky Greens posts a video on YouTube where he claims that Frixian is multiple people and that they cheat in PvP. Things that, if were proven right, would take Frixian off the number 1 spot and bring Game back. Game publicly denied the allegation of him being Cocky Greens publicly to all of his people and everybody in the community. He lied straight to their faces because here's evidence of Game being Cocky Greens. After this, he started a war in the community between 2 groups, and he split the community in 2. A lot of conflict came with this, and a lot of people were hurt because of this. But it still benefited Game because now, after the community was split in 2, he made his own tier system. Because on the original tier system, he was number 2. And Game could never accept that defeat and the fact that he isn't the number 1 anymore. So he made his own tier system, wiped Frixian and everyone connected to him off it, and put himself as number 1. And then he claimed that it was fair because he did not own the system and he did not moderate it. He said that publicly. As you can clearly see in his YouTube post, he claims that his leaderboard and system will not be owned by him. Therefore, every ranking would be fair and not biased by him. Well, later by his own moderators, he was exposed for controlling his leaderboard, faking his own tiers, and faking his own tier system, and also putting people on the top because they were his friends. Before this video ends, I'm gonna show the main point of this video, the main event of this video. As you guys know, Game and Tim recently put allegations of me cheating in PvP. That's because I knew that Game 1K cheated. So Game 1K put accusations on me, so if I ever speak up against him, it'll just look stupid and make me look dumb. Well, guess what? Instead of me just saying Game 1K cheats, I'm gonna prove it. This is a clip from a YouTuber by the name of Oculi. As you can see in the clip, he's fighting Game 1K on his server. And at this point, we see Oculi give Game a huge sum of knockback. Game pushes back to land safely and uses slime, which makes him lose a lot of health, but he'll survive. But what happens next here is proof of Game 1K cheating. As you can see in this pause, Game has around 1.5 hearts. In the next span of a second, Game 1K does enough knockback to push Big Nub to 2 hearts.
Now in replay, as we see game land, he is in no position to land over 7 hearts. Now look at this hit from 12 blocks away. In the span of less than a second, he managed to hit Oculi so many times that it pushed him to 2 hearts. And he was still hitting him while Oculi was over 13 blocks up in the sky. Let me replay this in ultra slow motion. As you can see, Game is in no position to hit Oculi, and he still does it. And he hits him enough times. And as you can see, Oculi's aim is on Game, but somehow Game is still hitting him. And even from here, when Oculi stopped clicking because he was so far away, Game is still hitting him from 12 blocks away. That's reach and macros. And when Game was asked about this by Blade, Game said that it was his ping, and he showed a screenshot of his ping. So that would explain that his hits were delayed by 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 1 second. Well, I asked one of his own moderators if Game averaged around 200 ping and that if his hits delayed by 2 to 3 seconds, and they said no. And you know what? I went on to ask the person in the video. I went and asked Oculi if Game was cheating or not, and if Game felt like he was using reach or metadata or macros, and he said absolutely. He said it was impossible from the reach he was getting hit from. For over a year, I looked for evidence to prove Game 1K cheated because I knew deep down that he did, and now I finally proved it.